Midnight. The house is quiet, too quiet. The soft glow of a laptop screen cuts through the darkness of the bedroom as Rasheeda scrolls through bank statements she wasn't supposed to see. At first, it looks like nothing, just numbers, dates, routine transactions. But then her eyes catch a familiar name, over and over again, month after month, year after year. The same account, the same hidden transfers. And with each line she reads, her hands begin to shake, because every single transfer leads straight back to one person she never thought she'd have to question again. Jasmine, Washington. What started as a simple search for a missing receipt turns into a financial nightmare that could shatter an entire family. Quiet, deliberate payments, thousands at a time, some marked business, some marked with nothing at all, and one note that freezes Rasheeda's blood cold. For the baby. Fans would later call it the moment everything changed, because in that silent bedroom, with the clock ticking past 12:47 a.m., Rasheeda doesn't just discover hidden money, she discovers what looks like proof of a life her husband secretly built behind her back. Outside, the world is asleep. Inside, a bomb has just gone off. Her breathing grows shallow as the truth starts piecing itself together in her mind. The timing of the deposits, the gaps that line up perfectly with Jasmine's disappearances, the sudden business trips, the arguments that never quite made sense, every excuse, every late-night call, every "don't worry about it" suddenly replays in her head like a cruel highlight reel. And now, here it is in black and white. Numbers don't lie. Bank records don't forget. Across the city, in a quiet apartment miles away, another phone lights up. A message notification. Someone has noticed. Someone is finally asking questions. And somewhere between fear and fury, a secret that was never meant to be exposed begins to unravel. By the time the sun rises, whispers are already moving through private group chats. A screenshot leaks. Then another. Fans are shocked. Emotions ran high. And before anyone can shut it down, the rumor is out there. Hidden payments, a possible secret child, and a wife who just found out in the most devastating way possible. What really happened behind those transfers? Were they business deals? Or baby support? Was this a desperate attempt to protect a secret? Or the final piece of a truth that's been buried for years? And when Rasheeda finally confronts Kirk face to face, will he confess, or will this discovery tear their family completely apart? Because when love, money, and betrayal collide, the fallout is never quiet. And tonight, you're about to witness the moment the family was left divided. Rasheeda sat on the edge of the bed staring at the screen like it might disappear if she blinked too hard. The numbers were still there. The dates were still there. The same account kept repeating like a heartbeat she could no longer ignore. Her chest tightened as she scrolled again and again, hoping somehow the pattern would break, hoping she was misunderstanding what she was seeing. But every line told the same story. Money leaving Kirk's account, money landing in Jasmine's. Month after month, year after year, quiet, consistent, deliberate. She whispered his name into the dark, like a question she wasn't ready to ask out loud. The room felt smaller with every breath she took. Memories poured in without permission. The nights he came home late and blamed traffic. The trips that were supposed to be one-day meetings that turned into long weekends. The calls he took outside. The sudden defensiveness when she asked simple questions. At the time, she had chosen to trust. Tonight, trust felt like the most expensive mistake she had ever made. Her phone buzzed suddenly, making her flinch. A message from one of her closest friends asking if she was awake. Rasheeda didn't respond. She couldn't. She felt like if she involved anyone else before she understood the full truth, the entire world would explode before she even had time to breathe. Instead, she stood up slowly and walked toward the living room. Laptop still open in her hands, like evidence she was carrying to a courtroom. She stopped in front of the large window overlooking the quiet street. Kirk's car wasn't in the driveway. He had said earlier he was meeting a producer late. Another meeting. Another excuse. Anger crept in slowly, mixing with heartbreak in a way that made her stomach twist. Her fingers hovered over the trackpad as she opened older records, digging deeper, going back farther. The farther she went, the worse it got. The transfers weren't new. They went back years. Back to the time when everything was supposedly repaired between them. Back to when he had sworn there were no more secrets. And then she found it. A reference number attached to a transfer that led to a note saved in a separate document. It wasn't detailed. It didn't need to be. The note simply said for child expenses, not business, not emergency, not loan. For child expenses. Rasheeda felt something crack inside her chest that she didn't know how to put back together. Across town, Jasmine paced her apartment floor with her phone clutched tightly in her hand. She had seen the missed calls from Kirk earlier but ignored them. She was used to avoiding his panic until she absolutely had to face it. But tonight felt different. Her phone kept lighting up with unfamiliar numbers, blocked calls, silent voicemails, and then a single message slid through that made her heart drop into her stomach. She knows. Jasmine sank into the couch, staring at the screen. She hadn't asked which she didn't need to. She had lived with this fear for years, knowing that one day the truth would come knocking whether she was ready or not. She had taken the money because she told herself it was for protection, for stability, for the future of someone who never asked to be born into secrets. But she had also known that every payment was another thread, tying her permanently to a situation that could never stay buried. She typed back slowly. How Kirk didn't respond. Back at the house, Rasheeda finally moved. She grabbed her keys with hands that were still trembling and walked out into the night without turning off the lights behind her. The engine started before she realized she was crying. The tears blurred the streetlights as she pulled out of the driveway. She didn't know exactly where she was going yet, only that she couldn't stay alone with the silence any longer. She drove aimlessly at first, anger guiding her more than logic. Every red light felt like an insult. Every passing car felt like a witness. By the time she realized where she was heading, she was already 2 blocks from the location Kirk had mentioned earlier, the restaurant where he said he would be meeting the producer. The parking lot was half full when she arrived. She parked across the street and sat there watching the entrance like she was waiting for a verdict. Inside, Kirk sat at a corner table with his phone in his hand, unread messages stacking up on the screen. Sweat slicked the back of his neck even though the room was cool. He had been pretending to listen to the person across from him for the last 10 minutes without absorbing a single word. All he could think about was Jasmine's silence and the message she had sent before that. He knows. She knows. He didn't know which was worse. His phone buzzed again. This time, it was Rasheeda's name lighting up the screen. His heart dropped. Outside, Rasheeda watched through the glass as he looked at his phone. She saw the moment the color drained from his face. She didn't give him the chance to step outside or make excuses. She opened her door and walked in with purpose, her footsteps steady even though her hands were shaking. Kirk looked up just in time to see her standing there. For a moment, neither of them moved. The producer at the table shifted uncomfortably, clearly sensing he had become invisible. Rasheeda placed the laptop gently on the table and turned the screen toward Kirk. She didn't need to say anything at first. The numbers spoke for her. His eyes dropped to the screen. The restaurant noise faded into a low hum. Forks clinked, glasses clattered. None of it felt real anymore. His voice finally came out small. Where did you get that? Rasheeda's laugh was sharp and broken at the same time. Where did you send this money? Kirk, he didn't answer. Her finger tapped the line with the note attached. For child expenses. Say it out loud. The producer stood abruptly, mumbling an apology and walking away, leaving them alone in the middle of public silence. Kirk swallowed hard. His mouth opened, closed, opened again. Rasheeda leaned forward, her eyes locked onto his, like she was daring him to lie one more time. Is there a child? Kirk's silence was answer enough. Rasheeda's breath hitched. The sound that escaped her throat wasn't quite a sob and not quite a scream. Diners nearby turned to look, whispers already igniting at surrounding tables. Kirk reached for her hand but she pulled away like his touch burned. How long? She demanded. He looked down. A long time. How long is a long time? She snapped. Years, he said quietly. Years, Rasheeda echoed. The word tasted bitter. Years of you looking me in my face and lying to me. Years of me defending you. Years of everybody calling me stupid and me. Years of me defending you. Years of everybody calling me stupid and me, saying they don't know my husband. Kirk finally looked up at her, his eyes wet. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Rasheeda shook her head slowly. It never is when you ain't the one being betrayed. Outside the restaurant, 2 people were already recording on their phones. Someone whispered her name. Someone else whispered Jasmine's. The story began spreading before Rasheeda even walked out the door. She didn't remember the drive home. She didn't remember how long she sat in the parked car afterward with the engine still running. All she could hear was Kirk's voice in her head saying years over and over again. Inside Jasmine's apartment, her phone suddenly exploded with notifications. Messages from friends, strangers, bloggers, fans. Some were cruel, some were desperate for answers, some begged her to tell her side. Her hand shook as she scrolled, realizing just how fast the private had become public. She finally called Kirk back. He answered on the first ring. She knows. Jasmine said flatly. Yes, he replied. Did you tell her about the child? No. A long pause stretched between them. Jasmine closed her eyes. She already found the payments. It won't take her long to connect everything else. Kirk's voice dropped. You promised you would never expose this. Jasmine laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. I promised to protect my child. I never promised to protect your marriage. Kirk whispered her name like a warning. Rasheeda arrived home to a flood of missed calls from friends and family, who had already seen the videos from the restaurant. Whispers were everywhere now, speculation moving faster than truth. She stepped inside the house and collapsed against the door, sliding down until she was sitting on the floor with the laptop still clutched to her chest. She finally opened one message from a longtime family friend. Is it true? Rasheeda stared at the screen until her vision blurred again. She typed the truth she wasn't ready to admit to herself. I don't know yet, but it looks bad. Across town, Jasmine stood at the window holding her phone, the city lights flickering across her face like sirens. She knew it was only a matter of time before Rasheeda came for her directly. She had rehearsed this confrontation in her head for years. But now that it was finally here, every version felt insufficient. And somewhere between the broken trust inside one home and the secrets inside another, a child slept without any idea that their existence was about to shake everything connected to them. The night stretched on with unanswered calls, rising rumors, and two women standing at opposite sides of a truth neither of them could outrun anymore. Rasheeda didn't sleep that night. She sat on the edge of the bed as the sky slowly shifted from black to gray, replaying every second of the confrontation over and over in her mind. Kirk's silence haunted her more than any confession ever could. Years. The word echoed in her head like a curse. Years of hidden money. Years of hidden truth. Years of her life quietly rewritten behind her back. When the sun finally rose, her phone was already vibrating non-stop. Family, friends, bloggers, numbers she didn't recognize. She ignored most of them until one familiar name appeared. Her sister. Rasheeda hesitated, then answered. You okay? Her sister asked softly. Rasheeda let out a breath that sounded more like a laugh soaked in pain. No, but I will be. The front door opened an hour later. Rasheeda didn't look up. She already knew who it was. Kirk's footsteps slowed when he saw her sitting in the living room with the laptop open on the table in front of her. The same screen. The same proof. We need to talk, he said quietly. We did talk last night, Rasheeda replied without looking at him. All that's left is truth. And I don't think you're ready for that. Kirk swallowed hard and sat across from her. His face looked older this morning, like the night had taken something from him he couldn't get back. Rasheeda finally lifted her eyes to meet his. You've been paying her for a child, she said slowly, carefully. A child you never told me about. A child you've been hiding for years. Tell me why. Kirk closed his eyes. At first, I was trying to fix a mistake. Then it stopped being about fixing anything and started being about surviving it. Rasheeda leaned back, folding her arms. You don't survive betrayal, Kirk. You just pass the pain forward. He looked at her. It wasn't supposed to involve feelings. She let out a sharp laugh. You always say it's not about feelings right before you admit something that destroys lives. He rubbed his face with both hands. Jasmine got pregnant during that time when we were barely holding on. She didn't want to tell you at first. She said she would handle it. Rasheeda's body went stiff. Handle it how? He hesitated. She was gonna raise the baby without involving me. Then she changed her mind when the bills started piling up. When reality set in. And you just agreed? Rasheeda asked. Kirk nodded slowly. I didn't want the child to suffer. So my child had to suffer instead, Rasheeda snapped. My family had to suffer. My dignity had to suffer. His voice broke. I didn't think it would come out like this. Rasheeda stood up abruptly. You thought wrong. Everything hidden always comes out. Always. Miles away, Jasmine's phone buzzed again. She stared at the screen, heart racing when she saw Rasheeda's name for the first time. She didn't answer right away. She couldn't. Her hands trembled too badly. A second call came in, then a third. Finally, Jasmine answered. Hello, she said quietly. How old is the child? Rasheeda asked. Without any greeting, Jasmine closed her eyes. 3. Rasheeda felt her knees weaken for just a second before she steadied herself. 3 years. 3 years of birthdays she never knew about. 3 years of lies wrapped in smiles. Does the child know who Kirk is? Rasheeda asked a pause. No. Not yet. Not yet, Rasheeda repeated, like it was just another lie waiting its turn to be told. Jasmine inhaled slowly. I never wanted to hurt you. Rasheeda's voice went cold. You didn't care enough to stop. Jasmine's eyes filled with tears. You didn't care enough to stop either. Kirk did what he did. I didn't force him to betray you. Rasheeda clenched her jaw. You accepted everything that came after. Silence fell between them like a wall neither of them could climb. People are already talking, Jasmine said quietly. Videos from last night are everywhere. Blogs are reaching out. My family knows now. Your family knows now. Good, Rasheeda said. Then nobody has to pretend anymore. She ended the call before Jasmine could respond. The world didn't wait for either of them to catch their breath. Within hours, speculation flooded social media. Screenshots of blurred bank statements, slowed-down clips from the restaurant, whispers of a child hidden in plain sight. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. Sides were already forming before a single official statement had been made. Kirk locked himself in his office as reporters began circling the house. Rasheeda sat in the living room surrounded by family, answering the same questions she didn't have answers to yet. Every notification felt like another blow. That evening, Jasmine finally left her apartment for the first time since the calls began. She wore dark glasses and kept her head down as she slipped into a ride. She had somewhere to be, someone to protect. She arrived at a small house on the edge of town and stepped inside quietly. A small child sat on the floor surrounded by toys, laughing at a cartoon on the television. Jasmine watched for a moment with tears in her eyes before the child noticed her. "Mommy," the child squealed, running into her arms. Jasmine held tight, pressing her face into the child's shoulder. "It's okay, baby," she whispered. "I got you." Back at Rasheeda's house, Kirk finally emerged from his office with red eyes and a trembling voice. He stood in front of her family like a man waiting for a verdict. "I know I messed up," he said. "I know, sorry ain't enough. But I never stopped loving my wife." Rasheeda stared at him, unmoved. Love without honesty is just another lie. He dropped his head. That night, Rasheeda finally confronted the hardest truth of all, in private. She sat alone in the bedroom she once shared with Kirk and whispered to herself what she hadn't been strong enough to say earlier. There is a real child in this mess. The anger shifted then. It didn't disappear, but it softened at the edges with the weight of reality. A child didn't ask to be born into this storm. A child didn't write the lies, or send the money, or destroy the marriage. A child was simply the living proof of everything that had gone wrong. The following morning, Jasmine woke to dozens of messages from family members who had finally connected the rumors to her reality. Accusations, fear, disappointment, concern, all pouring in at once. She sat at the kitchen table staring at the unread messages while the child colored quietly beside her. She began to type a response, then stopped, then typed again. "I never wanted it to go this way." Her phone rang before she could send it. It was Kirk. "Where are you?" he asked. "Urgently safe." She replied, "We need to talk about what happens now," he said. Jasmine looked down at the child. What happens now should have been part of the conversation 3 years ago. Back at the house, Rasheeda watched Kirk walk out with his phone pressed to his ear. She didn't stop him. She didn't chase him. She had learned in one night that chasing only delayed truth. It never stopped it. The divide between them felt permanent now. Not loud, not explosive, but cold and steady like a line drawn in stone. By evening, Jasmine's location was no longer a secret. Paparazzi spotted her leaving the small house with the child. The images spread within minutes. Blurry photos. A small figure holding her hand. The internet erupted. "Is that the secret child?" people whispered. Rasheeda, her hand. The internet erupted. "Is that the secret child?" people whispered. Rasheeda saw the images the same time everyone else did. Her breath caught in her throat as she studied the tiny blurred silhouette. She didn't feel rage this time. She felt something heavier. Reality. Kirk watched the same footage in silence from his car. The truth was no longer hidden inside bank statements and private calls. It was walking through daylight now. That night, Jasmine received one final message from Rasheeda. "We need to meet. Just us. No lies." Jasmine stared at the screen for a long time before replying, "Tomorrow." The storm that had been quietly building for years was finally ready to break in the open, and neither of them could stop what was coming next. The meeting was set for a quiet cafe on the edge of the city, far from the usual cameras, but nothing felt quiet anymore. Jasmine arrived first, choosing the farthest corner table with her back to the wall. She kept checking the door, heart pounding each time it opened. Every sound felt louder than it should have been. Every glance from a stranger felt like judgment. Rasheeda walked in 10 minutes later. She didn't wear sunglasses. She didn't lower her head. She walked in with her shoulders squared, eyes steady, carrying the weight of everything she had learned straight into the room. When Jasmine saw her, her chest tightened. This was the moment she had feared for years, and now that it was finally here, there was nowhere left to hide. Rasheeda sat across from her without a single greeting. "Say it all, Jasmine," she said calmly. "Not your version. Not his version. The truth." Jasmine swallowed hard. For a moment, only the sound of the cafe filled the space between them. Cups clinking, low music, Distant laughter that felt cruel in a room this tense. "I found out I was pregnant after you and Kirk were already married again," Jasmine began quietly. "I was scared. I didn't want my child to grow up being hated. Kirk said he would take care of it financially, but that he couldn't tell you. He promised me it would be temporary until he figured out how to handle everything." Rasheeda's face remained still. How long was temporary supposed to be? Jasmine hesitated. "A few months, that's what he said." Rasheeda let out a slow breath. "And then what changed?" Jasmine's eyes filled. "Everything. The baby came, bills came, reality came, and he kept sending the money. And I kept taking it because I was afraid of raising a child alone with nothing." Rasheeda leaned forward slightly. "You didn't think about me at all." "I did," Jasmine whispered. "Every single day. But thinking about you didn't stop the bills from coming. It didn't stop the fear either." Rasheeda nodded slowly. "Kirk chose to betray me. But you chose to benefit from it." Jasmine flinched at the truth of it. "I didn't want this life," Jasmine said desperately. "I didn't want secrets. I didn't want lies. I just wanted my child to eat. To be safe." Rasheeda's eyes drifted for a moment, imagining the small blurred figure from the photos. For the first time, her anger didn't know exactly where to land. Jasmine wasn't wrong about one thing. A child needed stability, even if that stability was built on lies. "Does the child look like him?" Rasheeda asked quietly. Jasmine hesitated, then nodded. "Everyone says so." Rasheeda's jaw tightened. The image burned in her mind without even seeing the child clearly. Proof with a face, evidence with a heartbeat. "Has he ever met the child?" Rasheeda asked. "Yes," Jasmine admitted. "A few times. Always quick. Always when he said you were out of town." Rasheeda closed her eyes for a split second. Each word was another quiet wound. "And you never once thought to tell me yourself?" Rasheeda asked. Jasmine's voice broke. "I was afraid of what you would do." Rasheeda opened her eyes. "You should have been afraid of what the truth would do when it came out on its own." A long silence stretched between them. It felt like the entire weight of the past 3 years sat in that space. "What happens now?" Jasmine finally asked. Rasheeda studied her for a long moment. "Now, nothing stays hidden anymore." Across town, Kirk paced his car parked along a quiet street, watching the cafe from a distance through tinted windows. He wasn't supposed to be here. Rasheeda had made that clear. But the fear of not knowing what was being said felt worse than breaking her rule. His phone buzzed with alerts non-stop. Fans debating, reporters speculating, bloggers promising new revelations any minute. Inside the cafe, Rasheeda stood. "I'm not here to fight you, Jasmine," she said. "I'm here because there is a child involved now. And that changes everything." Jasmine stood too, startled. "What does that mean?" "It means Kirk's choices don't just affect me anymore," Rasheeda replied. "They affect a child who didn't ask to be born into this mess. And I'm not going to be part of any plan that hurts that child." Jasmine blinked, surprised by the shift in tone. "So what are you saying?" Rasheeda met her eyes. "I'm saying that whatever happens between me and him is between me and him. Your child will not be used as a weapon, not by him, and not by the internet." Jasmine's shoulders sagged with a mix of relief and guilt. "Thank you," she whispered. "Don't thank me yet," Rasheeda said quietly. "I'm still deciding what this costs him." They left the cafe separately, both knowing the storm outside hadn't softened at all. Jasmine slipped into a car waiting down the block. Rasheeda walked back toward her own, unaware that Kirk had been watching the entire time. He followed her at a distance, panic growing with every block. When she finally pulled into the driveway, he parked across the street and stepped out slowly, as if approaching a battlefield. Rasheeda saw him and didn't flinch. "You followed me," she said flatly. "I needed to know what you said to her." He replied. "You don't get to control this anymore," Rasheeda said. "That's part of the consequences you never planned for." Kirk stepped closer. "What did she say about the child?" Rasheeda crossed her arms. "Enough to confirm what I already knew." He swallowed hard. "I never meant for you to find out like this. You never meant for me to find out at all." She shot back. Silence sat heavy between them. "Do you love her, Kirk?" Rasheeda asked suddenly. He hesitated too long. That hesitation was its own answer. She laughed, softly. "Broken. I spent years defending a man who couldn't even answer that question clearly." "I love you, Kirk," finally said. Rasheeda shook her head. "Love that lies is not love. It's convenience." She walked past him toward the house. Kirk stood frozen in the driveway, realizing he was watching the life he had built begin to collapse in slow motion. Inside, Rasheeda closed the door and leaned against it, hands shaking. Strength on the outside didn't mean the pain had disappeared. It only meant she was choosing to carry it differently now. Across the city, Jasmine tucked her child into bed that night with trembling hands. The child looked up at her with innocent eyes. "Mommy, why are people taking pictures of us?" the child asked. Jasmine forced a soft smile. "Grown people talk too much sometimes, baby." "Is Daddy coming tonight?" the child asked. Jasmine froze. She had avoided that word for so long. Tonight, it felt heavier than ever. "No, sweetie," she said gently. "Daddy is very busy right now." The child rolled over and fell asleep soon after, unaware of the war that word had just reignited in multiple homes at once. Kirk spent the night alone in his car, replaying every mistake that had led him here. The secret that once felt manageable, now felt like a monster that had grown too large to contain. His phone buzzed with a final message from Rasheeda. "Tomorrow, we speak to the family. No more secrets." He stared at the screen until his eyes burned. The next morning came with cameras lining the street and reporters shouting questions no one was ready to answer. Kirk stepped out first. Rasheeda followed moments later, calm but unyielding. Inside the house, family members sat waiting, tension thick enough to choke on. Everything was about to be said out loud now. And once truth is spoken in front of witnesses, it can never be taken back. You've just witnessed how a hidden truth can shatter lives, divide families, and change everything in a single moment. But the biggest question is still unanswered. What should happen next? Was this betrayal unforgivable? Or can anything be rebuilt after a secret like this? Now it's your turn. Drop your thoughts in the comments and tell us where you stand on this shocking situation. If you felt the emotion, the tension, and the raw truth in this story, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more explosive drama, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next.